Hello, everybody, and welcome back to another episode of the Friday Night SmackDown post-show review. I am your host, Josh. As always, I almost forgot my own intro again. If you are new here, welcome to the channel. If you are returning, welcome back to the channel. Welcome back to the post-show review. You know how this works. I go over everything that happened on Friday Night SmackDown, from the results, like the match winners or the segments, whatever the case may be. I go over everything that happened on this show, as I do with all the other post shows as well. Um, Obviously, this was a pre-taped episode of Friday Night SmackDown. This was taped last week, after last week's episode, um, and it aired today. So there was obviously spoilers that I went over on the Kayfabe recap this past Sunday. So if you saw that, then you know this post show is going to be kind of a reiteration of that, but now that the show actually aired, I can give my final thoughts on everything that happened, and not just um the winners that I posted about and like I talked about on the spoilers. Now we actually saw how the matches played out and how everything else played out. And obviously some added segments into there that the spoilers didn't cover. So um, yeah, I'm going to be going over all of that. Before I do, though, make sure you guys subscribe to the channel, hit the notification bell so you're up to date with all the videos, podcasts, and interviews that come to the channel. Make sure you check out the Kayfabe Central website. That's where I post all my coverage posts, articles, written predictions, all that good stuff is over there on the Kayfabe Central website. We also have a group and community section over there on the website. So if you want to ask me any wrestling related questions over there, feel free to and join up that. Um, I believe I also have email alerts set up on the website also. So if you want to become a member of the website, you can be notified anytime I post on the website. So make sure you guys go check that out, play around with some things on the website. Um, yeah, make sure you guys go check that stuff out. You can also check out the Kayfabe Central Discord server if you want to place, build a community, talk about wrestling or even non-wrestling related things. Feel free to go check out the Kayfabe Central Discord server. All that is linked down below. Make sure you guys go check out the TikTok as well. I post a variety of different content over there on TikTok, so go check that stuff out. But let's jump straight into Friday Night SmackDown. We kicked off the show with obviously them showing the superstars entering the arena. When LA Knight entered the arena, she was caught up with by Kathy Kelly, who asked him, or not asked him, broke the news to him that he is going to be having to face another mystery opponent, which he was not happy about. Um, and then they did the thing. Well, we'll find out later who LA Knight is facing. So, a little thing I guess at the start of the show didn't really mean much. If you watch the spoilers or if you knew the spoilers already, like I did, we all knew who his opponent was going to be. But for anybody that didn't know, I'll get into that a little bit later on. Um, the last time is now tournament quarterfinals match. Jey Uso defeated Rusev. Um, it's pretty much what I said on the kayfabe recap about this. Like, I don't, um, actually, I can't even remember if I did say certain things on the kayfabe recap. But like, I hope this is not Jey Uso going to the finals. I kind of hope LA Knight does beat Jey Uso in the semifinals. Um, yeah, and I'm kind of scared that they're gonna do the Jey Uso for Solo Sikoa final, and maybe we get Jey versus Cena at Saturday night's main event. It is not something I am interested in. I don't want to see that. Um, and I think a lot of people are in the same boat as me when it comes to Jey Uso. And I think if you put Jey Uso in that position now, the heat that he gets online is going to translate to in the arena for sure. And maybe not as bad as big dog Roman Reigns, but it's going to be around that level, I can assure you. Um, there's going to be a lot less people yeeting. There's still, less people yeeting every single week that he comes out. So, uh, yeah. Uh, I'm not gonna comment on the crowd and how dead the crowd was, because this was taped after another episode of SmackDown, so the crowd was just tired and they were just there. Um, they tried to pitch in some chants at some points, but you can tell just the crowd was tired. You can tell Michael Cole and Corey Graves were tired as well. Um, they didn't really go all out for the commentary on this episode. You can tell it was a very just relaxed and chill episode of SmackDown. And you know what? Um, sometimes you have episodes like that, and sometimes they're not the greatest. But sometimes you'll get those episodes of Raw or SmackDown where it's just kind of like a chill and relaxed episode. And this was one of those. Um, Backstage, Nick Aldis um had his balls in the thing again to pick who LA Knight's opponent is going to be. The Miz was also in there as well. And he was like begging Nick Aldis to be in the tournament and just put him in. R-Truth comes into the locker room as well and offers Nick Aldis his balls again and says, "What do you have against my balls?" or whatever. R-Truth eventually leaves the locker room or office, and Nick Aldis picks a ball out of the thing, and then it happens to be the Miz. So obviously, this is something we knew ahead of time that it was going to be the Miz. Um, but I guess kind of cool how they did this. Miz looked like a kid in a candy store, I should say. Um, when he found out it was him facing LA Knight. Um, so there was that. Kathy Kelly interviewed Damian Priest about Aleister Black. He pretty much said how he's going to endure more punishment to Aleister Black, and Zelina Vega interrupts the interview and pretty much just says, it's been Aleister Black dishing out the punishment to you, and the last time, anyone was really talking about you was when Aleister Black burnt your face off. Um, and then Zelina ends up walking away after delivering a threat to Damian Priest. Rhea Ripley then walks up to Damian Priest, obviously the Terror Twins, the history there, and says she has an idea that she's going to bring up to Priest later. I can only assume that this is going to be a mixed tag team thing, with Damian and Rhea versus Zelina and Alistair. I was thinking that Lola Vice was going to get called up to the main roster, and they were going to pair up Damian Priest and Lola Vice against those two, but it looks like they're going to go with Damian and Rhea because I can't think of anything else that she would have in mind that pertains to Damian Priest. Um, they don't have anything to do with the Judgment Day or anything anymore, so. Um, I assume it's just them in a mixed tag match against Aleister Black and Zelina Vega. Um, we then had the Chelsea Green Championship celebration for her Women's United States Championship win. That was interrupted by Jade Cargill because Chelsea Green once again called herself the greatest women's champion of all time in WWE. So Jade Cargill didn't take a liking to that, so she came out and gave a big boot to Alba Fire and then hit Chelsea Green with Jaded. Um, I think I forgot to write it down because this segment was just so meaningless. But Jade Cargill was walking backstage afterwards. Kathy Kelly tried to catch up with her, and says, that was a message to everybody on the women's roster. She bumps into B-Fab as well, and she kind of just brushes B-Fab off and walks away. Michin goes up to B-Fab and's like, maybe I should be the one to put her in her place. And B-Fab's just like, yeah. Like, okay, like it is so meaningless and pointless. Um, I have no idea where they're going with Jade Cargill and this title run, and I don't even think they know where they're going with this title run. Um, it's not off to a good start, and I don't have any hopes that it's going to pick up. I think they're literally just killing time until Charlotte Flair is done with the War Games thing, and then they're gonna run Jade and Charlotte. But that is not the way you should do things. You at least should have like Jade feud with somebody else other than BFAB and Michin. And there's nothing against Michin. I've spoken very highly of Michin on the podcast before because I think she's very talented. Um, but you've put her in a position where she's not that important on the roster, and you haven't made her a main player on the main roster. So why should we be excited for Michin and Jade Cargill? There's really no reason. We know how it's going to end. She's going to, job to Jade Cargill, and it's going to be meaningless. Um, but that was that. backstage, Charlotte Flair and the rest of the babyface War Games team. So Charlotte Flair, Rhea Ripley, Io Sky. Um, why am I blanking on this team? Charlotte Flair, Alexa Bliss, Rhea Ripley, Io Sky, and then AJ Lee entered the frame as well. They were just hyping Charlotte Flair up for her advantage match later tonight against Asuka. So that was that. Nothing really to that segment. Nothing to break down there. Um, we then went into the last time is now tournament quarterfinals match between LA Knight and The Miz, where LA Knight defeated The Miz to advance in the tournament. I broke this down on the Kayfabe recap, but uh, this match was a lot better than I thought it was going to be. We had a near fall uh, or like a false finish. It was more like where The Miz hit the skull crushing finale, but LA Knight kicked out. Um, I wish they did this match in front of a not so tired crowd, to be honest. Um, because like I mentioned earlier, the crowd was just tired, and I can't blame them. You just sat through 2 hours of SmackDown, and you have to sit through another 2 hours of SmackDown all in the same sitting. So, um, I don't blame them for being tired. I would be tired myself, if I had to sit through 4 hours of SmackDown, especially two pretty like mediocre episodes of SmackDown also. So, not a lot to be excited for there. But yeah, LA Knight and The Miz put on a really decent and solid match, honestly. Much better than I was expecting. LA Knight gets the victory though. Um, I broke down my thoughts on the kayfabe recap about that. I think this is a good decision that LA Knight moves on, and I honestly hope he beats Jey Uso, like I mentioned earlier. I don't want to see Jey Uso beat LA Knight. Um, the Jey Uso and Rusev match. I can't remember if I mentioned this, but it just wasn't good. Jey Uso just didn't look good in the match either. And I will keep reiterating my points about Jey Uso that he's not a good wrestler, and I don't think he can wrestle that well. He's much better in a tag team with his brother. But when it comes to singles, he's just not good. Um, so yeah, I hope it's not Jey Uso that advances, but it probably will be. Um, Backstage, Becky Lynch was trying to control the heel War Games team. So obviously it was Becky Lynch, Lash and Nia, and the Kabuki Warriors. Um, she was trying to control them and, pretty much just coach them up. But Nia was like, well, Becky, tonight's about Asuka and her getting the advantage for us at War Games. Um, so they kind of just ignored Becky a little bit, and Becky was just like, being a cheerleader, I guess, in this segment as Oscar was like speaking part English and part Japanese. She was just, laughing, almost sarcastically. So uh yeah, she was just being the cheerleader in this segment. Becky Lynch is awesome, man. Like she's doing the best she can in this role and she's doing so good at it. I started listening to her book earlier. I know I'm very late, but I like just recently found out that it was on Spotify. Um, because apparently I forgot audiobooks were a thing. So I started listening to her book earlier and man, she just seems like the most genuine person ever. Even just from like the first few tracks that I listened to. She just seems so genuine and so cool. So um yeah, I think by the time I finish that book, I'm gonna be an even bigger fan of Becky Lynch. Um but yeah, I don't know, maybe I'll do a podcast review on the book or something. If that's something you guys are interested in, let me know. Um, but backstage as well, Kathy Kelly asked Ilya Dragunov about Tama Tonga, but of course Tommaso Ciampa walked up to him with Axiom's mask and pretty much just reminded him that he's coming for the United States Championship and Ilya should be worried about him, and then reminds him that they took Axiom's mask. Um, whole bunch of, uselessness in this segment as well. If you're just gonna do the match, do the match. There's no need to tease Ilya Dragunov and Tama Tonga match or an Ilya Dragunov and Tommaso Ciampa match. As good as the match is gonna be, there's no reason to tease it. Um, just do the match. If you want to put the title on Ciampa, put the title on Ciampa. Um, yeah, I see no point in these segments. Um, Ilya Dragunov is putting on banger matches, and I think that's really cool. I think you should have a title that's defended on TV every week. Obviously, this week was a little bit, weird because you had the 5-on-5 match. You had other things that you needed to do ahead of War Games, which is fine. And then you had the Last Time Is Now tournament. So I understand why they don't do it for 1 week. But I just find these backstage segments with Champa and Tonga just pretty useless. Um, we then went into the Women's War Games Advantage match where Charlotte Flair defeated Asuka. Um, this wasn't their best encounter, but it wasn't their worst. They put on a pretty solid outing here, um, and they had a few good spots in this match. Um, yeah, that's pretty much it, honestly. I'm trying to think of anything else that I took away from this match. And there's really nothing else other than the fact that they put on a pretty decent match. Like it wasn't terrible by any means. Um, and again, like I think I'm so used to the crowd just being involved. When the crowd is dead, it kind of takes away from the match a little bit. And as someone who used to perform, I can say that is a very true thing and a very real thing. Where if the crowd is dead, it kind of takes away your momentum. But either way, just from a wrestling point of view, it was a solid match. Um, but Charlotte Flair and the babyface team have the advantage of War Games. So they did go that, split for the men's, the heel get the advantage and the women's, the babyface get the advantage. I can see them doing that for the winners of the War Games match as well as I mentioned in the Survivor Series predictions. If you haven't checked out the Survivor Series predictions, go ahead and check that out. Um, but then we went on to the traditional 5-on-5 Survivor Series elimination match. The Team Sammy, which was Sami Zayn, the Motor City Machine Guns, Ray Phoenix, and Shinsuke Nakamura taking on the MFTs, Solo Sikoa, Tama Tonga, Tala Tonga, Tonga Loa, and JC Mateo. Um, the MFTs win with Solo Sikoa being the sole survivor. It came down to Sami Zayn and Solo Sikoa. Um, this was a pretty standard 5-on-5 match. There wasn't anything special about this. I do like the fact that um, Sami Zayn looked like a genuine underdog in this match, and he actually didn't win. I think that's actually more of a good thing than people might look at this as. Um, because you see all the backlash on social media, and like I was one of these people who was like, saying it a little bit where, if Sami Zayn's supposed to be an underdog, then why is he winning everything? Um, this was a perfect example of underdog Sammy, and I think they need to continue doing this. And you need to make it seem like there is no chance in hell Sami Zayn will be winning a world championship. And then when he does, it's the biggest moment, one of the biggest moments you have in company history where Sami Zayn finally wins a world title and he can be happy and everybody can be happy. So I like the fact that Sami Zayn looked like an actual underdog in this match. Um, yeah, other than that, standard stuff from this 5-on-5. There was nothing really spectacular in this match. Ray Phoenix looked good up until Tama Tonga hit him with a hidden blade. I seems like that's his finisher. Um, I don't know. I don't know if he calls it something else, but it is the hidden blade that Will Ospreay does. Um, so uh, yeah, Ray Phoenix had a good, hot tag in. I believe it was a hot tag when he came in. So that was pretty cool to see. Other than that, nothing crazy. Solo Sikoa hits Sami Zayn with the spike to win. After the match, the Wyatt Six come out and Uncle Howdy appears behind Solo Sikoa and delivers a sister Abigail to Solo. Um, so they're continuing that. I don't understand where they're going with this, to be honest. Survivor Series is about to be over. They're not doing anything there. They just did the 5-on-5 with Team Sammy. So I have absolutely no clue where this is going. Like I can see a tag title bout between, Loomis and Gacy versus, Tonga and Tama Tonga and Tonga Loa maybe, or maybe Tama Tonga and Tala Tonga, or whatever the pairing may be. I can see that. But in terms of the whole faction, I don't know what the plan is. Is it Uncle Howdy versus Solo Sikoa, Bo Dallas versus Solo Sikoa? Um, I have absolutely no clue. And I really don't have interest in it, to be honest. This, the booking for the Wyatt Six have not been good, and neither has it been for the MFTs. And now you put these two in a feud together, if you want to call it a feud. Um, and this has just been terrible, absolutely garbage booking for this rivalry. So I'm hoping that they can step it up, but I highly doubt it. Their booking for the Wyatts, has just always been bad, and um, they rarely know how to book this group, especially this new rendition of the Wyatts. Um, and their booking just has not been good. Um, but that was Friday Night SmackDown for November 28th, 2025. Obviously, I forgot to mention at the start. This was obviously in Denver, Colorado, where SmackDown was last week because pre-taped. Um, but yeah, let me know your thoughts on Friday Night SmackDown. As always, I want to know what you guys have to say. You guys are just as big a part of the show as I am, so let me know your thoughts down in the comments. I will be back tomorrow with the headlines and pro wrestling this week, along with Ruan Wrestling and maybe Stu World Order. He hasn't confirmed with me yet if he is going to be available, but um, we'll figure it out and figure out who's coming on the show for the headlines tomorrow. But we got a lot of interesting things to break down on the headlines tomorrow. So make sure you guys have your notifications on and stay tuned for when that drops. Yeah, other than that, and then obviously the Survivor Series post-show review tomorrow night as well after Survivor Series. So lots of stuff to come. Like I said, make sure you guys check out the TikTok page as well. Post a variety of different content over there. Um, and yeah, a lot of interesting things, a lot of cool things to come to the Kayfabe Central YouTube channel and the TikTok. So make sure you guys are staying up to date with all of that stuff. But with that being said, I am going to call it a night. I am going to go to sleep after I post this post show because, man, I am just extremely tired. You can probably tell by watching this video. But until the next one, which will be the headlines of pro wrestling this week, I will see you guys there. Take it easy.